Hello everybody, back at you here. Our next presenter is our newest manufacturer in the portfolio, AMIKA.
Hey guys, my name is Jamie Bryce and I'm a lead pro educator with AMIKA, and I am so excited to be here today to share with you guys a bunch of great promotions that we have going on and a few different styles that we kind of coined here at AMIKA. So just to give you a little something about me, I am a session stylist in New York City, but prior to that I worked behind the chair for a very long time and had a very diverse clientele, which is what actually brought me to AMIKA in the first place. So the thing about AMIKA is we're just a styling line. That's all that we do. And pretty much we have a little bit of something for everybody. Like I said, I had a very diverse clientele and I kind of needed there to be something for everybody. So it was great. It was great for me to have this behind the chair, because instead of having to have like a bunch of different styling products, it was nice to just have one thing that like I could literally give to everybody. Not only that, the products smell absolutely amazing. So it's really great because you can kind of layer a little bit of everything. You don't have to worry about there being a bunch of different smells. On top of it as well, one of our major things that we love is to make sure is that our products don't contain any nasties. So there's not going to be any sulfates, there's no phthalates. All of our products don't contain any artificial colors. We're also very much committed to sustainability. We're also B Corp certified, which is really awesome. And yeah, so now we can get into a little bit of styling. I'm gonna have my model come up. This is Lindsay, so everybody say hi. All right, so like I said, thing about AMIKA is we're just all about styling. That's our lane. That's exactly what we do. So this is great if you do a lot of bridal styling, if you do a lot of special event styling. One of the major things that we're seeing on trend right now is going to be that glam wave. It seems like all the brides want that. That's just what it is. So it's great to have this under your belt. Also, I want to teach you guys a little bit about different foundations when you are building updos and things like that. So we're going to do two looks. We're going to start off with this glam wave, and then we're going to jump into something that's a little bit more fun, a little bit more on trend right now. So just to let you guys know what I did to start her off, I used our prep product. This is going to be the shield. Now, one thing I do want to talk a little bit about is like when you are going in to create an updo, if you do have the luxury of doing it behind the chair, it's nice to be able to make sure that you start them off with a nice clean base. So even if you're not doing them behind the chair, and if you're having your client, you know, if you're showing up to them, if it is a bridal situation, make sure that you're always telling them to start off with a nice clean base, have them wash and dry their hair either that morning or that night or the night before. So it's always great, depending on the type of hair that you're doing, you want to either use something that's more volumizing. So we have 3D, that's going to be our volumizing shampoo and conditioner. So that's a really nice base, especially if you are working with someone who has a little more fine hair, or you just want to get a little bit of extra volume in the hair. If you are working with somebody who has thicker hair and maybe needs a little bit more moisture, then probably Hydro Rush would be a better choice for them. So either way, what I did do for her, I also went through it and did a nice blowout. Also, one of the things that I think is very much so key when you are creating a an updo of any sort, or even if you are doing a down look, you want to make sure that you're building the foundation for this look. So since we are doing a down look, I went through and I gave her a nice voluminous blowout. And I did so using our Brooklyn Bombshell blowout. So this isn't a root lift. A lot of people get that mistaken. I want to be clear about that. What it is it's an all over lift. Okay, so basically what it has is lifting polymers in it, and it's going to help to really expand the hair. So if you're looking for that big Victoria's Secret voluminous blowout, this is a great base to use. I also like to go in with the Plus Size Perfect Body Mousse and put this right at the base, because it's gonna give me a little bit more grip. This is gonna be a medium size. This is going to be a medium hold mousse that basically gives you a nice grip, but you can still work your brush through the hair very easily. I also like to use this when I'm creating ponytails too. It's one of my faves. So, all right, so I went in, I did a nice voluminous blowout. As you can see, she's still set in some places from that blowout. Let me give her a little spin so you guys can take a look at the back. So what I did was I went in, I did the blowout, and I set it, every section of the hair, just because I wanted to make sure that I kept that volume right in place. I took it down and then I went in and started setting with my with my wand. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. When you are setting the hair for a style, you want to pay attention to how dense their hair is, number one. Number two, also the length of their hair and how tight you want that curl to be. So, because she does have pretty long hair, and I'll give you guys just an idea so you can see. Because she has pretty long hair, I didn't want to go too small on my barrel. I want it to stay a little bit on the medium size. So I use my 25 millimeter. Here, let's pull this down. As you can see, like I said, she's got pretty long hair. So I use a 25 millimeter on my chameleon. Ma'am, I do this has 5 different barrels. So this is basically the medium size one. And I set her all over using this. Okay, so I'm gonna go in. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna start right here at the base. You wanna know what? I lied. We're gonna twist her a little bit and we're gonna go to the back. So one thing that you always wanna remember when you are creating a look is what is the finished result that we're going for, right? Do we want everything to fall into itself? Do we want things to create more texture? When I'm creating a glam look, I want everything to fall into itself. So I'm going to be making sure that I'm curling all the hair going in the same direction. Okay? So curl direction is extremely important. So what I'm gonna do is, as you can see, I have everything sectioned off. I'm gonna go in with my section. I wanna make sure that when I'm doing this, that I am keeping everything right on top of the other. Again, because I am attempting to create a look that falls directly into itself, I don't want to create texture. I'm not trying to create pieciness. I want when I go to comb this out, everything's gonna fall into itself, okay? So we call this a checkerboard pattern. Now, obviously, depending on the hair type, that's always gonna make a difference. Sometimes you may not be able to get everything so perfectly where it falls onto itself, but you wanna be able to try to get it as much as you can. So what I'm doing is I'm prepping my section with the Shield anti-humidity spray, okay? This right here is going to be a heat protectant. And also it's not only as a heat protectant, but it also helps the hair fight frizz for up to 24 hours. So whenever you're creating hot styling, this is a great product to keep in your arsenal. If I'm doing weddings, if I'm doing special events, even if I'm on set, this is one of my go-tos every single time. So definitely want to make sure that you check out our promotions today too, because this is included in our 5-pack. So it's also included in our styler sample as well. So like I said, one of my favorite products, one thing to definitely remember about the Shield though, is that it is going to be a prep product. It isn't a finishing product. It's also heat activated. So you wanna make sure that you're applying this before you actually go ahead and do your heat styling. So what I also like to do after I do a little bit of my Shield is I will also use a little bit of our Fluxus Touchable Hairspray. And I'm gonna do a nice little coat of that on there. Now, whenever you're working with brides and things like that, you know that they're gonna be moving around all day. And you wanna make sure that you're setting them up for success and that the style that you're creating is gonna last them all day, all night, whether they're dancing, moving around, whatever's going on. So I'm just gonna comb this out. And I can feel that product in the hair, but as you could see, even though I sprayed both of those products on there, I can still run my comb through this. But at the same time, that product's still on there, so it's going to give me the hold that I need. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is, after I get this nice and smooth, I'm gonna go in, again, I have my Chameleon, the 25 millimeter. I'm gonna lay this, my comb down. I'm gonna hold this section tight at the base with my thumb on top, and I'm setting my iron underneath, and I'm holding it tight. You wanna make sure you're controlling this section of hair, you're not holding it too loose, okay? So we're gonna hold it tight. I'm gonna twist it as I come around the barrel and then lay it flat on top. Twist it, lay it flat on top. Twist, flat, twist, flat. As you can see, I definitely started a little bit more off base with this one. As you move up the head, you want to make sure that you're not going all the way to the base because you don't want that curl to be all the way up. But on my lower sections, I definitely did go all the way to the base. So we're gonna wait until that gets really warm. Feel that. And then what I want to do is I want to pull this off of the base of the barrel exactly how I put it on. I don't want to just wind it off. I want to make sure that that curl stays exactly where I put it. And if by chance it happens to fall down like this, let's just say, can you guys see that? Let me turn you a little bit more so you can see. So let's just say that it happens to fall like this, okay? All I'm gonna do is accordion this back up onto its base. I'm not reworking the curl, I'm not rewinding it. I'm literally putting the curl right back where it came from. And I'm gonna go ahead and set that right there, okay? So I'll show you guys that again. And now also, like I said, you wanna make sure that you're paying attention to curl direction. So I did everything, I curled her whole entire head all the way around going towards the face. Now, I could have did it going away from the face and that would have given me more of that cascade curl. I did more of like a vintage wave. She's gonna have a little bit more of that lift and everything's gonna come this way. So you'll see more of that when we actually go through to comb it out. So again, like I said, because I'm working on this top section of the hair, I'm making sure that I start off a little lower on my curl just because of how I want it to fall. I don't want that curl to be super tight up here. I want it to set down a little bit lower. So let me spin her a little bit more so you guys can see. Okay, so again, we're gonna smooth it out. You always wanna make sure that the hair that you're working with, the sections that you're working with are nice and smooth. There aren't any snags in there. Again, I'm prepping using my shield. And depending on the hair type that you're working with, you might not have to use the shield going section by section. You might be able to just, you know, spray in one big section if you are dealing with someone who does have maybe finer hair, shorter hair. But the thing about her is that she does have a lot of thick, dense hair. So I want to make sure that I'm getting every single section and I'm saturating as much as possible. Again, I'm just combing it through. And I'm taking my curler. I'm holding it in my right hand. And I'm placing it under. I'm gonna just smooth a little bit on top. Can you guys see me okay? Everybody's good? Okay, good. All right, so we're gonna come right underneath. I can hold it at a little bit of a diagonal I can hold it at a little bit more of a diagonal just to create more of that angle around her face. But I wanna make sure that in this area, I'm starting around her eyebrow, okay? So I'm gonna come in, under. Again, I'm holding it tight and I'm gonna start wrapping. It's very important as you're creating this kind of curl that you are holding the curl tight and that you aren't keeping it loose, because if you let it fall loose, you will get a completely different curl. So I always like to talk about just understanding not only curl direction, but how it is that you're wrapping the curl around your the base of your barrel, because it does make a huge difference. If I was to completely wrap the hair around, it's gonna give me more of that wand effect, versus if I was to lay it flat on the barrel, you will get more of a classic curl. So definitely want to make sure that you're working the kind of curls that you want for the look that you're creating. All right, we'll do 2 more and then we'll talk about how to comb this out. So now, as you can see, she's got smaller sections in the front, but I don't mind that much because it's gonna help me to create that look that I'm going for. We'll spin her a little bit more this way. And I'm gonna do these 2 sections and pretty big sections, which is fine. They'll still fall right on top of where they need to be. And like I said, we're doing a checkerboard pattern, and that's gonna make the difference of how it is that your curls fall. Because if we do, for instance, if I was looking to create more texture, which I will show you in the next look that we're creating, then I would want to do more of a brick lay pattern. And then I would also probably rotate the sections of the hair that I'm doing. But for this, we want to make sure that everything is nice and as uniform as we possibly can have it. Again, I'm just working this product through, making sure everything is nice and smooth so there's no snags in there. This will be nice because once you apply that heat onto that product, it's definitely going to lock in any snags that there are in the hair. So you want to make sure to try to get away from that as much as possible. Again, what we're gonna do is we wanna make sure that we kind of smooth everything out and that there's no snags in the hair. Because when you have snags in the hair, when you add the product and then you add the heat on top of it, it's just gonna push those snags in further, and then when you go to actually comb out your look, you're gonna have an issue. So just to make sure that everything goes as smooth as possible, you wanna make sure that you're really just combing it through, making sure everything is nice and sleek. And again, I'm starting off base because I don't want that curl to go all the way up. I'm starting off base and I'm wrapping it flat on top, twisted at the bottom, flat, twisted, flat, twisted, flat. And she's got these little pieces that are poking out. That's not a big deal. As we go through and actually comb out the look, we'll be able to finesse those little pieces into exactly where we want them to be. We're just touching on this, making sure that it's nice and warm, incorporating those ends. And then again, remember we're pulling out exactly where that curl is set. And then we are going to let it cool for just a second. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a nice little spray of our Fluxus right over top. Again, don't forget this is included in all three of our promotions today actually include the Fluxus hairspray. So definitely my favorite working hairspray. It does give you buildable hold. It's really nice to be able to use this as you're building your look. You want to make sure that you are using something that is flexible, something I can brush through. So it'll give me flexibility. So definitely one of my go-tos. I can use this and use this and use this and still be able to run my fingers through the hair, which is great. So if I was, let's say if this was a client who was sitting behind the chair, I would want to make sure that I give her the opportunity to cool with the set in her hair for probably about a solid 10 to 15 minutes. Obviously, we're not going to do that today. But if you are behind the chair, or if maybe let's say you're in a rush, you're kind of on a time crunch, a good thing that you can also do is take your blow dryer, put it on a cool shot with the diffuser, and just cool everything down. But I won't take everything down at one time. I like to work section in section. It does make things a little bit easier, but again, depending on the type of hair that you are working with, that could sometimes change. If I am working with somebody who does have finer hair, softer hair, I could probably take it down and work in bigger sections. But again, because our lovely Lindsay has so much hair, we're gonna actually work in smaller sections just so we can make sure that we set those curls nice and tight. This is the one that we had taken down before. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take down a couple of these and just let them fall exactly where they're supposed to. And again, if you remember, I definitely curled everything going in the same direction. And if you remember why, that is because I wanna make sure that these curls fall into each other the way that, so it gives a nice cascading look. What I'm gonna do now is, okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of our Blockade. This is our heat defense serum. Now we do have a few different serums in the line. Personally, I do like to use Blockade when I am creating looks like this just because of the amount of shine that it gives. But this is also gonna be a heat protectant that creates a barrier over the hair. So, but what I'm gonna do is just a little dot in my hands, okay? And I'm gonna emulsify that through my hands. Now, what I don't want to do is go in and really run my fingers through the hair. What I want to do is really just go in and press, okay? So what this is going to do, it's going to help to make sure that we don't get a bunch of frizz. Have you ever gone in and like tried to comb out curls, and as soon as you brush it through, it just creates all of this frizz? What this helps to do is kind of control that, and it also helps to push shine into the hair too. So like I said, we're just gonna pat it right onto those curls, okay? So I'm just gonna press this in, make sure that I get it in. All right, so the two brushes, the two tools that I'm gonna use to actually brush this look out is going to be my grooming brush and just a tail comb. Now, the thing about it is that you wanna make sure that you're using the right grooming brush, okay? There's different brushes and they're all meant for different things. Whenever I'm doing something like this, I wanna make sure that I'm using a brush that has boar bristles and nylon bristles. This isn't gonna just give me separation, but it's also gonna push everything together. Versus if I was to do just a detangling brush that just has those nylon bristles, everything is gonna separate and it's gonna be hard to pull everything back together. Same thing if I was to use just a boar bristle brush. Okay, it's gonna smooth everything out too much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in, again, I have my combination of my boar bristle and my nylon. I'm gonna take that Fluxus, that's our touchable hairspray that's also in the promotions, don't forget guys. And I'm just gonna spray a little spritz of that right onto my brush, okay? And then I'm gonna comb this right into the hair and pull out some of that curl. Okay. So now the reason why I sprayed the Fluxus on there was also because I wanted to make sure that I was fighting against frizz, because that's always the hardest part whenever you're creating these kind of looks, is really just fighting against that frizz. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin her this way so you guys can get a little bit of a better look. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in, because I wanna build up a little bit of body in this. So I'm gonna go in right at those, here are my dips. These are my ridges, right? Ridge, dip, bridge, dip. I'm gonna go in at my dip and I'm just gonna move that up. I could also go from underneath the hair if I want to. Now I don't have to have, this part doesn't have to be as smooth, just because I'm gonna lay more hair on top of this. And sometimes I don't mind leaving it a little bit more on the messy side, because it does help to give me more of a base. So I'm gonna go in with my Fluxus again, give that a nice little spritz. And let's move on to our next section. Okay. So with this section, I'm gonna use my tail comb and I'm just gonna push up right at my ridges. Again, I'll give a little spritz of my Fluxus. And again, I mean, at this point, I could go in with my Stronghold hairspray, but I want the flexibility to be able to play with it, you know? I might get to the end and decide I want to reposition a little bit. Maybe your client decides it's too big for her, or maybe she wants it bigger. You never know. So you kind of want to be able to give yourself that flexibility when you are creating these looks, to be able to move the hair around if need be. So I'm just using my tail comb and I'm detailing a little bit. Again, going in with my Fluxus. And you could use, whether it's easier for you to use your can or to kind of smooth things out. Some people like to use their brush. Some people just like to use your fingers. I always say this is the part that, like, find the rhythm that works best for you. And also different hair textures too. Different hair textures as well. Sometimes call for different things. There's certain hair textures that I work with sometimes that just seem like, you know, if I use a brush, everything seems to fall smoother. If I use a comb, everything falls smoother. And sometimes you can't really use too much of anything. So it really just depends on the hair that you're working with. Hair tends to seem like it likes the tail comb the best. So that's what we're gonna stick to. And again, I'm just taking my comb and I'm just lightly combing through and kind of placing those curls right where they need to be. And as you could see, like I said, everything is just kind of falling into itself. Go in and give it a nice little spritz. And as you can see, those dips and those ridges are just coming together really nicely. So what we'll do is, as we get further up, I will create a little bit more volume. Again, she's got so much hair that I don't have to go too crazy, which is nice, but we're not always that lucky. So I want to show you guys how to work with it when we're not that lucky. So again, I'm gonna just do a soft comb through, okay? What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in at the base and I'm just gonna do a little back combing for volume. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit. So now whenever we're back combing for volume, we wanna make sure that what we're doing is we're holding the hair nice and loose and we're doing longer strokes. Because now that's gonna help the hair to separate and really give you that volume. Versus if we are back combing for foundation, I'm gonna show you guys a difference of what that looks like, okay? If I was back combing for foundation, I would hold the hair tight and do short strokes. Versus if I'm back combing for volume, I'm gonna hold that strand of hair looser and I'm just gonna do longer strokes. You see how that gives me more of a more wide view? So we don't need that much volume right now. So we're gonna comb some of that down, but that is the difference. We'll give her a little bit more on this side. So again, holding that hair loose, going in and just doing long strokes. And again, I don't mind there being a little bit, I want this to be a little bit more voluminous. So now when I go to this top section though, I am going to, this one I want to make sure that I get nice and smooth. So again, I'm gonna do a little bit more of this blockade on my hands. And I'm gonna work these two sections together. And I'm just pushing that in. I'm combing this through. We'll do a little bit of back combing at the base. And then a little bit more on my fluxus. I'm kind of just positioning those curls right where we want them to be. We'll bring everything together in the end. All right, so for this last section, we'll do all of this in one piece. Again, a little bit more of my blockade. Pull that through. We're going to use our comb and just comb through that. All right. She's got such beautiful hair, it doesn't make sense. You really are lucky. People are not usually this lucky with this much hair.
Thank you. It's a lot to handle.
Oh, sorry. Got a little snag. All right, so last two sections, I'll do this in one and then the next. Again, I'm gonna use a little bit more of my blockade. Just a nice little dot. And then we're gonna continue to use our tail comb. And it's really just all about like finessing and kind of placing the hair where you want it to be, reworking. That's why you want to make sure that you're using the right products when you are building the curls themselves, because it gives you more flexibility to be able to move around as you are actually doing your comb out. All right, last little section. A little bit more of this blockade. And again, you want to make sure that you are using just a little bit of oil. You don't have to get too crazy, and obviously depending on the hair type that you're working with, you know, you might want to use just one dot throughout the whole head. But my girl here has enough hair for all of us, so I could go a little crazier.
Enough to go around, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go in and kind of just build up her base a little bit. Just because she does have those layers in there, so to make life a little easier. And give her a little extra volume, a little extra oomph. All right, let's get everything right where we need it to be. Lift this up just a little. We'll go ahead and, like I said, this part is kind of just like all about like finessing and putting everything right where you want it to live. So just to make sure that we got everything right where it should be. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go in, use some flat clips, kind of position things right where they should go. She does have these shorter pieces in here, so what we're gonna do is tuck those in. Which again, you don't have to do. If you want it to be, if you want to be able to see those a little bit more, you can. But this will give that really pretty, like Jessica Rabbit look. And now what I could do is, since I kind of have everything where I want it, I can go in. Now that I kind of have everything where I want it, I can go in with my Headstrong hairspray. Now, this is going to be our stronghold. I always tell people you do not use this until you are ready to set everything exactly in place right where you want it, okay? So, I'm gonna go ahead and go in and start sculpting things right where I want them to be. I like the way that this looks over here. And again, this is gonna help everything kind of stay right where it should be, so we can get rid of some of these flyaways. I'm gonna go in with my grooming brush, kind of just push everything into itself. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Yes, okay. I'll spray a little bit of this onto my grooming brush. And that'll just make sure everything stays right where it's supposed to go. A little bit of jazz over here. We'll spin her this way. A little bit over here. Again, I'm gonna use my grooming brush to go ahead and smooth some of this curl down. And just like that. What I could do is, we'll come this way. One final thing, just to give her a little extra raise on the side, I'm gonna use a wide tooth comb with my Headstrong hairspray. And I'm gonna go in, this will just help to give a little bit of lift. let it set for just a moment. And we can pull it out. Boom. And then I'll come in on this side and I'll do the same thing. And again, I'm a session stylist, so I work a lot in the editorial world. So it's fun to be able to take, like, you know, an average look and kind of make it a little extra. I'm a fan of extra. Your hair wants to keep my clips. All right. Just open up a little bit more. All right. So there you have it. This is a great bridal look. And like I said, you can always amplify this if you have a client who likes a little extra. But for me, I mean, I like big hair. I don't mind a little extra frizz and definitely a little bit of volume. And this is a great way to just build foundation. Like I said, you know, there's different ways to be able to, you could always create this look. You can definitely do it a lot more. You could do it a lot more tailored where it isn't so extra. If you do have clients who maybe do have finer hair and they don't have as much hair as she does, I always recommend maybe adding in some clip-ins whenever you're creating this look. If you do want something that is a little bit more out of the face, make sure that you're curling going away from the face. If you remember, I did these curls going towards her face, but it was because I wanted all this drama in front of her face. But when you are doing bridal, obviously sometimes the brides want things that are a little less dramatic. So in which case you could definitely do more of the glam wave versus the retro wave. But I did want to show you guys just how to really amplify this look and, you know, make sure that you have some cool things in your arsenal. So that's look number 1. And yeah, so do a little spin, All this hair you have, it doesn't make any sense. I'm so jealous. I wish we could work together all the time.
I know, I need you. Every morning I wake up.
All right, so that was look number 1. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into the second look. And also, if you guys have any questions about anything, make sure you follow me too. I'm thestylist.jamie on Instagram. So any questions that you guys may have, I will definitely be sure to answer for you. And don't forget to check out the promotions. Okay, can't forget. But yes, so second look that we're gonna hop into is pretty much going to be I feel like it's a super popular look right now. It is basically the Pam inspired look from the 90s. So super simple, super easy. I feel like this is a great one. Again, I'm all about just understanding foundations of looks because I feel like when you do understand the foundations of looks, you can use them to create different types of looks. Like I said, this right here, I did more of a retro wave on her and I amplified those curls a lot. You could also take the same technique and create a very soft wave. You could also use a bigger barrel of a curling iron and she wouldn't have anywhere near as much definition. So really it's just what you choose to do with the techniques that are being shown to you. But with this one also, it's a great way to be able to do a super simple, super easy, but super sexy and cute textured updo, but you can also take the same techniques and do something a little bit more manicured as well. So she's got all these curls in her hair already, so we're not going to get rid of all of them, but we are going to reshape some of them just so you guys can see a little bit of a difference when it comes to curl types and curl direction as well. So major thing with this is that we want to focus on making sure that we're leaving that face frame out in the front of her hair. So what I'm going to do is just go in and comb out all this nice texture we created inside. Let me actually take my detangling brush, and you guys will even be able to see when I was talking about like how, you know, different brushes give you different effects. As you can see, this is going to create, you see all the separation that creates in the curls. So again, depending on the look that you're going for, this might be what you want to do. But for what we were doing, we wanted to use that grooming brush that was going to give us more control. So So I'm just gonna brush her out. Spin, spin, spin. Brush all those curls through. Make sure that any of that teasing that we did, we get out. All right, and now what we're also gonna do for this look is we're gonna switch up the part. But also, again, back to what I was saying about making sure that you're using the right products to build your foundation. I mean, look at how much we brushed her out, and all of that curl is still pretty solid in there. I could create 3 more looks out of her hair if I wanted to. Okay, so let's do a little face frame for her. What we're gonna do is a middle part for this look. And again, the good thing about this look is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It is all about the texture in the hair, so you know, you don't have to go too crazy. So we're gonna take this, section this out, and stick it away. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna spin her this way. Again, do a nice little face framing. And if we feel like it's too much when the time comes, we can always take some away. We can always put some back. So I think that's good. Maybe a little too much. Let's take a little less. I think that's nice there. Yep. Okay, we can also tuck this away. So now what we're gonna do is, all right, so like I was saying, when you are, for the look that we did last time, what we were trying to do was create, we wanted everything to softly cascade into itself. For this, we're looking to create the most amount of texture. So I'm not gonna go through and do a bunch just because she already has so much curl in her hair, but I just wanna show you guys a little bit of the difference in the curls that you would create if you were doing this look. Let's just take this section and work here. So again, I would wanna make sure that I am using, you always wanna make sure that you're using heat protectant. Again, the Shield is one of my favorites, also in the promotion, so don't forget. So I'm just gonna do a nice little spritz over the top. I'm not gonna go section by section like I did with the last look. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my flat iron to show you guys the 2 different types of curls that you would want to create to do this look. So I would either go for a beach wave or a classic curl. The basic difference between the 2 of them is that the beach wave is going to be an elongated basic classic curl, okay? So I guess really it just depends. You might be working with a client who has who does like more of a lived-in look versus working with a client who does like maybe something a little bit more polished. So if I was working with somebody who likes stuff a little bit more polished, then I would go in, do 1 full turn and pull straight down. Still turning as I'm going, making sure that everything is nice and flat and smooth, and it's gonna give me that nice classic curl, okay? So classic curl, like we all know, that's the basic curl. If I was gonna do a beach wave, what I would do is I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do more of an elongated curl. So I'm moving faster down the barrel and straight down. And as you can see, I have 2 different types of curls, similar but different. I can leave the ends of this one a little bit more straight if I want to. Okay, now again, creating these curls, what I would do is instead of making sure that everything kind of sits right on top of each other, I would want to rotate. So if I did this curl facing away from the head, then I would do this curl facing towards the face. Pulling straight down. That's that beach wave, okay? Same thing right here for the classic curl, okay? I did this one going away from the face as well. So now I'm gonna go towards the face, moving faster, keeping everything tighter, and pulling straight down. So now the thing is that when I go to brush these kind of curls out, okay, there's all this texture without me having to actually build any of it. Everything's kind of going its own direction, and this is gonna give me a little bit more of a lived-in look versus something so structured. All right, so now let's get into our little updo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use a little bit of our Supernova Shine Cream. This is a really nice product to work with because you can use this on wet or dry hair. You could use this to kind of fight flyaways. Also, it helps to give a little bit of control. It isn't gonna make the hair feel wet, which is also really nice. And it also helps to add a lot of shine into the hair. Because we kind of use, we use a lot of product in building her last look, we wanna make sure that we're making the hair kind of look shiny and soft. So I'm just positioning the hair around where I want it to go, making sure that I get rid of those flyaways. And now what we're gonna do is, to bind the base of this, we're gonna go in and we're gonna create our own type of bungee. So I am going to take an elastic and two bobby pins. So I have my elastic and then my two bobby pins. I'm going to put one on one side and then one on the other. And this is now my homemade bungee, okay? So I'm gonna be using that to secure my base. Again, I'm gonna use just another little dot of this Supernova to kind of keep everything nice and smooth where it should be. And now what I'm gonna do is, let me center this way just a little bit. Depending on where you want this to sit is where you're gonna start your twist. I do wanna see it from the front, but she also does have a lot of hair. So I don't have to go too high when I do my twist. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out at probably like my occipital bone, okay? I'm also gonna go in and kind of just break this up a little bit because I don't want it to be so neat. I kind of want that texture in there. What I'll even do is use a little bit of this undone texture spray. Also, it's gonna give me buildable texture, so I don't have to worry about going crazy with that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a nice solid twist right here at the base. Okay, so you guys see that? So now that I got my twist at the base, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with my homemade bungee. I'm gonna go right to the base of where that's at and weave it through and line it up, okay? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this around, come to the other side and do the same thing. Let me come this way so you guys can see. Too far. And do the same thing on this side. If you can cross pin them, that works quite well. Sometimes you can't, but if you can, that's nice. Just to kind of hold everything in together, okay? So now, once I have that in, I'm gonna do a little work around the sides to kind of pull those out a little bit, okay? I'm also gonna go in with some large hairpins. So my larger hairpins, okay? I'm gonna go in with a clothespin. I'm gonna go in with a clothespin, okay? Insert it in the hair while it's closed. Weave it through, let it open, okay? So I'll show you what that looks like. So we're gonna go in, clothespin, open it, weave it through. Clothespin, let it open, weave it through. Again, I'm gonna come down here, clothespin, let it open, weave it through. And I'm just gonna do a couple of these all the way around because I wanna make sure that my base stays nice and secure. Boom, clothespin, let it open, weave it through. Do another one, and I think we should be good there. Now we can start to actually build our updo itself, okay? So now let's move over to the front. Just make sure things are like where we want them to be. Pull that out a little bit. So now here's the last part of this is basically we're going to actually pin everything up. I will say this, there's no right or wrong to do it. No right or way wrong to do it. You could pretty much, this is where you get to be creative. You can kind of play a little bit. If somebody has a lot of hair, you'll have a little bit more. You might want to tuck and hide some things. If somebody has less hair, you might want to just fan them out a little bit more. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in and I'm going to take a section, and what I want to do is, again, I'm using texture products now, okay? So I'm gonna add a little bit of that undone texture spray. This is gonna give you buildable texture. So like I said, this one's really nice because you can kind of play around with it a little bit. And I'm just gonna loop this around, use my pins, close pin, weave it through, okay? Go ahead and come in with another one. And guys, don't forget to check out the promotions that we have today because a lot of the products that we use and that we talked about are going to be in here. So they're really the great basics for everything, for creating all the styles that you would need. So, boom, weaving it through. And like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. You kind of just, at this point, we're kind of just freestyling. You get to be creative and have fun with it. A little bit more texture spray. Go in. And again, the whole point of this is to be a little bit on the messier side, but it is up to you. It's up to your client. You know, sometimes we have clients who don't really like things too texturized or too messy. So at that point, you could just kind of make things look a little bit more polished. Let's do a little texture spray all the way through. And yeah, we'll poke you in here. And again, I'm using my large hairpins, but I feel like for me, like when creating looks like this especially, they do give you a little bit more control, a little bit more little bit easier for you to work with. Sometimes bobby pins, when it comes to making looks like this, can be a little too firm. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go back in. Let me bring her to the back so you guys can see exactly what's happening here. So I'm just gonna pull this apart a little bit. And again, there's no right or wrong. You kind of, you know, just do what you see fit. Now let's go to the front and work on those little face framing pieces. I'm gonna just pull this curl out a little teeny bit. We might tuck some of this away, but we will see. So for her, I think what I'm gonna do is just a little bit of a beach wave. Remember, that's that elongated curl. And I'm gonna do all of this all the way around the front of her hair. And then what I could always do is go in and pin some of that up, so it works nicely. All right, let's go to this side. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Just because the curl that she had in before was a lot of curl. And she already has so much product in her hair, so I don't have to go too crazy with like filling her up. But again, if she was to come in to the salon and I was creating this look from scratch, I would always recommend, you know, either A, her allowing me to wash her hair, or B, she come in with a clean slate. I always feel like you get the best results whenever you are working with a clean slate. So a little bit more texture spray in there. And again, the fun thing about this is that nothing has to be perfect. So I think one more pin on this side to tuck some of this away. And we're all set. Well, I hope everybody had a really good time today, because I definitely did. And again, don't forget, we have all these awesome promotions going on where for you guys, especially for you guys who are new to AMIKA, especially the style sampler, that one kind of gives you a little bit of everything that you could need. All right. So what do we think, guys? We good here? So like I said, this is a great foundational piece just for, you can kind of create any updo that you are, any updo that you would want using this. If you want something a little softer, something a little less textured, that's totally fine. It's just all about your product selection. I did use that Supernova in there, so you can use a little bit more of that just to kind of like smooth those pieces out. You could also use a little bit of our serums to kind of make sure that those pieces are smoother. If you want to create more texture, you can always go a little bit more crazy with the Undone Texture Spray. I could also give a nice little spray of our Fluxus. Just because we want this look to be a little softer, I wouldn't go too crazy with the Headstrong on this one. But I could pull this out a little bit more, kind of rough these pieces up. But it's really just, this look is just really fun because it's really all about what you make it. So, yep. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I had a blast, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show. And yeah, make sure you check us out. I'm Jamie Bryce, yet again, for AMIKA, and it's been fun. Bye.